Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really interesting where Notch is today. He was sort of tired of a lot of things in the industry, and it sounds like him getting out of Minecraft this way has actually got him sort of in a good place and wants to do stuff again where he
Yeah.
was sort of not
Start all over.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like he was sort of burned out and now he's sort of back into it. I saw an interview with Cliff Pasinski as well where he said I'm done with game industry a couple of years ago, and then because he was burned out, and then I think it's a year and a no it was a year and a half after. Then he was like, "I'm making a new game," and people were like, "Oh, now you're that guy who's like making the comeback." But he was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I was burned out. I didn't want to make games anymore." And then after a year and a half of not doing that, he missed it. So he
Yeah.
sort of got the energy as well for it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on?
I think that it's good that he came back, and not because he. I don't think that in any way that he's missing out the money.
No, you see that house he bought.
Yeah, I think that he came back for the right reason, and not because I think that Justin Bieber,
Yeah,
he actually did that star thing when you say I don't want to make music anymore,
Yeah.
and then he came back. I think this year or so. I haven't heard anything from him, but I think he came back from the right reason, and I think that many people are happy that he's coming back and do something.
Yeah, and it looks like Minecraft is in a good place as well. So and I'm gonna play it. Maybe you're gonna join on.
Yeah.
We're gonna start doing that on Mondays.
Yeah.
And I so
Minecraft Mondays.
Yes, it looks really good as well. There's some things that are out for the Xbox version now as well, but they keep supporting the PlayStation and the iOS and stuff as well. So it's not like now they bought it, it's not going to happen on other platforms, which I think is good. It's also the smart thing for Microsoft. But there's no reason to piss off all the people who, and more people are going to keep buying Minecraft. So you might as well earn money on it and be the good guy.
Yeah,
in that way. All right, second to last story of the news. EA shuts down SimCity developer Maxis. They were also working on The Sims. So, yeah, they've been shut down, I guess, maybe partly because SimCity didn't do so well. I don't know how the sales were, but at least in sort of the public talk and the reviews were not very positive.
Yeah, exactly. I think that they sold out very good at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then the reviews came.
Yeah. But I even remember the reviews came and the embargo were before the game came out, and the sort of way that it was reviewed before, because there's all this online stuff, was sort of in a setting how it is when you review games before it's out. And then when the proper game launched, there were problems that there weren't when it was reviewed.
Yeah.
So I know some people who reviewed it who then weren't happy, like their review didn't fit the game that came out because it was not the same game in a way.
Very different.
So a lot of people were saying, well, if I played the game that is actually out, then I wouldn't have given that score, and there's a lot of things with that. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's sad, and you know, good luck to all the people. It's sad for all the people who are working hard on the games.
Yeah.
You know, hope they get new jobs.
They are, because I think that they had something great going on with SimCity, and SimCity is, I think, very old game. It's a very old game series.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that they're gonna make it.
Yeah.
Just try with another game.
Yeah, but I mean the studio is closed.
Yeah.
So they need to find new jobs. New jobs. Yeah. So yeah, good luck to those guys.
Yeah.
The industry seems to be really good with that, with helping each other out. We recently had Sega close down their parts in their studio or headquarters in San Francisco, and a lot of studios are then very quick. I noticed Michael Condrey from Sledgehammer was out like, "Hey, we're hiring."
Yeah.
So good luck to all those people.
Yeah.
Then finally, another thing from Kotaku, where Anthony Birch was he was famous for doing I think it was called What's Up Ash or something like that, and he was writing for Destructoid. Then he actually got hired by Gearbox Software, who worked on Borderlands, and he was part of writing, I don't know if it was the main game of Borderlands 2, but at least the DLC, and then worked on the pre-sequel, writer on that, and now he quit that job and is back out as a non-dev guy, and he's written an article on Kotaku that is 5 things I didn't get about making video games until I did it.
Yeah.
So 5 things he didn't understand about making games until he tried to develop games himself, and that's really interesting. I think a really interesting story. And thoughts on it. I think for me, I'm going to go through them in a little bit. He writes it about himself, which I think is good, but he sort of makes it sound a little bit like no one understands this, where I feel, at least, maybe it's because I have been part of making films, and there learned films are a lot harder to make than I thought before.
Yeah.
And then getting into the games industry, I haven't made any games, but I know that it's a lot harder to make, because I'm like, oh, like any art, it's harder than you think.
Yeah.
And he makes it a little bit sound like no one understands. But in the end, I think the point is good that a lot of people are sort of. We'll get to that in the end. Let's go through them. Number 1, making games is 1,000 times harder than I thought. So I guess that's sort of the overall thing.
Yeah.
Number 2, games look like a complete ass for 90% of their production. That is really interesting. Often when they then show an E3 demo or something, they've super polished that part, but the rest of the game is.
But actually, I think that one game this year or last year was it at E3 was not at all polished.
Yeah.
And some of it was just.
Which one was that?
I can't remember the name, but it was kind of a racing game, and then you can jump in a helicopter. It was totally crazy.
Okay.
But I can't remember the name of it. And they were very honest, also with Mirror's Edge too.
Yeah.
They were.
But I mean, that's the way games are. Like games don't look like games. You've been part of making films as well, and until you put the effects on this shit, it looks like shit.
Yeah.
And you do that, and like most of it is like the last month before you go gold, you polish it up, and that's where it looks great.
And when they tell your actors, can you do like this? That it's like, why?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's
and
totally.
I could see that maybe it's the same thing about making games when people are doing it for the first time. They are seeing this go nowhere.
And it's a long time before you get to where in different stages where the game, of course, it's not like, oh, now we made this part of the game and then the other level is going to be. It's more like everything looks like shit, and then the end is going to all look great. When devs use the word excited, they're not blowing smoke up your ass. So this is another thing that some people are maybe tired of, where some devs are like, oh, I'm so excited about this game and I think it's going to be great. And then when they come out, people are like, well, this wasn't great. But what he's saying is that it's not because the devs are lying. It's maybe it just didn't work out, but they are always excited about it when they work on it. And I think you can't really not do that. If you work on a game for 4 years,
you can't go out until...
No, but it's like, that's honest. When they say it, it's not because they go out and just say it. But I think when you work on it for 4 years, if you're not excited about it, I mean, you can't. No. You can't work on games. So it's not because they're lying. He is saying. Game devs, this is number 4, game devs actually read a lot of critical writing on their work. So, when whether that's big reviews or bloggers write about their games on the internet, on Reddit and reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
They actually, I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to write this and, I can shit on this game, and then, the people who made it are not going to read it, but apparently they read a lot of this. Yeah.
And you also, if you watch the indie game movie.
Yeah, indie game the movie.
Yeah. You actually watch the developers of Super Meat Boy and how they're sitting all day long.
Yeah. Just waiting to see
the reviews, and they are going all the way through and read all articles, and also on YouTube watch people who aren't that famous. Just watch their playing it. And I remember one quote where he's finding a guy on the YouTube who's playing Super Meat Boy, and he's saying, I hate the developers of this game for creating this level.
And that's the thing where you gotta, I think at the end of this shouldn't be, I think for a lot of people that don't understand how hard devs work on games, and there should be some respect about that, and it's not as easy as you want to think maybe, and if there's a problem in a game, the devs know there's a problem. It's just because it's harder to fix. That said, that doesn't mean like now we should just praise all games. If you're not having fun with a game, if you think there's too many mistakes, or you simply don't like it, you should say that. And as a reviewer, especially, you shouldn't. You need to advise the people who are going to spend money on it, because there's also people who are working hard and only have money for 2 games a year, and then you need to be honest, so they buy the game they're going to be happy with. That said, I think the point here is be nice about it. Say, I don't like this game, this is why I don't like it. Or don't be like,
this is not for me, maybe, because...
No, but I think even saying, like, I don't think this is fun, I think the shooting is bad, I think the story is bad, and try to explain why, I think that's totally fair. Just don't say, oh, the devs are idiots, or, be respectful about it. I think it's totally fair. You need to be honest about your criticism, because, your job is reviewing, and then you should be honest about it. And this was what I just said, actually, number 5. If you think something sucks, that's not really news to the dev team. They generally know what's up. And it's been funny for me talking to some of the devs where you get that thing, and it's like one of the big things recently, if you play Destiny, has been the heavy ammo bug there, where basically since launch and until a week or 2 ago, where they finally fixed it, you would lose heavy ammo if you were wearing a certain part of gear, which you would if you were high level. You would have to wear a gear piece like that. You would lose your heavy ammo, which would be machine gun and rockets, every time you went to a cutscene, every time you died, every time you entered the mission, and anything like that, you would lose ammo. And that's a big thing, because you couldn't... The heavy ammo was very scarce. You could use synths that were very expensive, but they were also on a cooldown and all this, and it was a huge problem for a lot of people. And a lot of people in the internet were like, why don't they fix this? Bungie are idiots and stuff. And they made a post a month or so ago where they were like, this is a way bigger problem. You could say, in some ways, it might still not be okay that it was that hard to fix, but just know that it's not because they don't know the problem is there, and it's not because they don't want to fix it. It was a huge problem. It was something with the order that the game was actually built every time you loaded into your machine. So it loaded your character, and then it loaded your ammo in, and then it loaded in your gear. So when it loaded in your ammo, you could maximum have 5 rockets. And then the perk that gave you the ability to have 7 rockets was loaded in after, but then it already had... So there are some problems. It's something like that. There was a really good post on Bungie where they explain how the game loads everything. Like character, world, gear, weapons, all that, in which order. And that was why there was a problem. So they could fix it, but then there was a very big chance, they said, that they would create a million other bugs because of that. So,
kind of cool that they tell... people.
I think that was one of the problems with Bungie. Actually, they should have been talking about that a little bit more. Maybe not that detailed post, that's okay, but explain a little bit of like, just keep saying we're working on it, because you could tell that on the Destiny Reddit page as well. Like, as soon as someone from Bungie came out and sort of acknowledged there's a problem, whenever people brought up a thing that annoyed them, people would quiet down a lot more and understand it. But it's that thing where it's been really frustrating to play a game and no one acknowledges that there is a problem for months. But I really like this article on Kotaku where they talk about, sort of respecting the devs in that way, where, as I said, I think it shouldn't mean that you shouldn't say you don't like a game if you don't like it, but respect the people who are working on it. There are people who spend their whole life, working on games and don't maybe get acknowledged. I mean, there's a few people maybe on the dev team that do interviews and stuff where you will have guys who just work their ass off and do overtime. And as with any creative field, people are in this, a lot of them are not, they're not in there for the money. You don't get rich from it, but they're here because they think it's cool and they want to make games, and then be nice about it. Yeah.
Respect the devs.
But yeah. I think that was it. Do you have any news stories we've missed?
We talked about, but the thing about GTA being delayed for the PC.
It's been. I think that's funny because I remember when GTA came out first, and they were like, "Well, Heist are coming." First, they were like, "Online is coming soon," and they came out 2 weeks later or something, and then Heist are coming out shortly after launch, and they've kept saying, "Oh, it's coming out," and then they announced the PS4 and PC version. It was like, and it's coming out shortly after launch. And like, no, it's coming out a month later. And now we'll see if Heists are coming out next week.
Yeah, the 10th March.
Yeah. And then, but the PC version has been delayed a little bit again.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember the date?
No, I don't.
It was like in April.
I don't remember after the delay.